parents, I'm Lisa Murray. Thank you for joining me today. So I have a question for you. Do you ever feel like your kids aren't listening? Are you really saying what you mean? Well, in today's session, we are going to learn that there are really 4 reasons your children are misbehaving. When you can identify what the goal of those misbehaviors are, you can choose a new response. And it's really going to increase the likelihood that you can decrease the behavior or eliminate it entirely. Wouldn't that be great? So let's get started. What factors are contributing to all our behavioral issues? Based on my research and over a decade of working with families in their homes, here are some of the potential causes of behavioral issues. Many parents are reporting they feel overscheduled. They are scheduling their children who are younger and younger for more and more sports activities and other outside of the home interests. Sometimes this overscheduling overwhelms children. They feel stressed, the parents feel stressed, and then you'll see behavioral problems. Society as a whole is increasing the need for immediate gratification. And so we have young children and parents who are lacking patience. There seems to be less follow through with consequences, and parents sometimes have a difficult time setting boundaries and limits for their children in their homes. Ineffective parenting styles also contribute to some of the behavioral issues we're seeing. Dr. Rudolf Dreikurs, an Austrian psychiatrist and educator, determined that there are 4 goals to misbehavior. Dreikurs believed it was possible to understand children's misbehaviors by recognizing the 4 main goals or purposes for the child. The 4 goals of misbehavior are attention, power, avoidance of failure, and revenge. Our children are individually unique and special. With that also comes a set of challenges in temperament and personality. I have heard countless parents say, I'm raising all of my children the same. Why don't they all respond the same way to my discipline? Well, you may be consistent in your approach. It's just that the approach isn't effective. There are behaviors that can be just irritating and annoying for parents. And then there are more significant and destructive behaviors. Understanding your child's developmental stage and the expectations for social and emotional development in that stage is very beneficial. Being able to set realistic expectations and standards for behavior will help set your child up for success. For example, a parent that believes it's appropriate to expect a 2-year-old to sit at the dining room table for dinner for a half an hour without getting impatient isn't being realistic for that developmental stage. That child most likely will not be successful, and a parent may respond in a manner that's not helpful. Social and emotional behaviors will be what we focus on today. Being able to consistently say what you mean and mean what you say as it relates to behavior and consequences is very important. You want to send a message to your child that what you say does matter. They need to be able to rely on your consistency. We certainly can't expect our children to behave consistently if we don't. As we look at the 4 goals of misbehavior, let's remember that they are goals. There is a purpose for the behavior. A child who is in the attention mode wants just that, attention. And it's sad but true. Negative attention is better than no attention. This is especially true when siblings are fighting for attention. When a child wants to feel power, they may do it in ways that are very frustrating for parents. They may get stubborn and really test a parent's patience. This is a child who wants to have some sense of control over their world, maybe in a small way, sometimes in a big way. Children whose goal it is to avoid failure are trying to avoid feelings like embarrassment or inadequacy. They will do anything so they don't have to feel like a failure. And children whose goal it is to hurt others may have already tried attention getting and power types of behaviors, and they didn't get the success
in getting the results they wanted. So now they have moved into the revenge mode. These types of behaviors are certainly more significant and challenging to deal with as a parent. Let's look now at the different types of behaviors associated with each goal. Attention-getting behaviors tend to be annoying and irritating. When your child whines or is begging you for an item at a store, they are definitely showing you attention-getting behavior. Other attention-getting behaviors include talking back, making noises, and ignoring your requests. I am sure you'd have a few other behaviors you could add to that list. Examples of power and control behaviors, they look a little different. When a child refuses to cooperate, and especially when they can't make a choice when you offer limited choices, they are clearly telling you that their goal is power. If your child always needs to have the last word, be in charge, and may have a temper tantrum when they hear the word no, they are also in the power and control mode. Avoidance of failure behaviors tend to be a little more difficult to recognize. Children with this goal are trying to send messages to us about how they feel about themselves. They don't feel capable in some way, and because of that feeling, they avoid activities or even people that make them feel inadequate. Children with this goal are saying things like, "My belly hurts," maybe before going to a soccer practice or other event. If this is consistent and only happens before soccer, this is an indicator that something's wrong. A child is telling you, without actually telling you, that they don't feel capable. Pay attention to the times of day, specific activities, or specific people that your child regularly complains about or refuses to participate. Revenge. These behaviors have a very negative impact in the home. Depending on what the child has tried previously to get your attention or to regain power, these behaviors may be very destructive. These behaviors can impact relationships in the home, especially with siblings. Recognizing these aggressive behaviors and the goal behind them is the first step to helping children improve their behavior. So now you may be saying, okay, how do we respond to these types of behaviors more effectively? Let's look at all 4 goals and the approach you can take to get better results. Giving children attention when attention is the goal is paying off the behavior. It will repeat itself, and you will develop a pattern of behavior with your child. For example, if each time you go to a store, your child whines or begs for an item and you give in, then they have learned that whining and begging is an effective way to get you to give them what they want. And this will happen over and over again, and your frustration will increase. With that same example, you can choose to ignore whining and let the child know you're going to do just that. You might say, "Isabel, we're going to the store to get eggs and milk. If you ask me for anything, I'm going to ignore you." And do it. Saying what you mean and meaning what you say creates consistency for a child, and this approach can lead to that whining and begging to become entirely eliminated. Always be prepared for the behavior to get worse. The child is going to test you, especially the first 2 times you're back at the store. This approach sets you and your child up for success. When children's goal is power and control, we feel it as parents. These behaviors can be very frustrating. A child's need for some type of control over their lives is an important one. Giving children limited choices when appropriate can help them feel like they do have some sense of control. For example, one of the biggest issues parents tell me they face is getting children to eat. Sometimes it's a battle because children are picky eaters, so I will use this as my example with limited choices. You may say to your child, "I'm going to make eggs or waffles this morning. Which one do you want?" Repeating the choices 3 times using the broken record technique is an effective way you can help your child build their problem-solving skills. "Would you like eggs or waffles this morning?" "I'm making eggs or waffles. Which one do you want?" Eggs or waffles? When a child doesn't choose, the last response is that you choose. Being consistent with this approach, again, is one of the best ways to communicate to children that you meant what you said. And it increases the likelihood that they will make a choice next time limited choices are given. When children don't feel capable, they avoid feeling inadequate. They need help in understanding their strengths, and they need us as parents to validate how they feel. Being dismissive of children's feelings is one of the best ways to get children to either shut down or become angry, because emotions that get bottled up or not validated most certainly come out in ugly ways. Helping children build on small strengths become the building blocks to getting them to feel more capable, which will allow them to not feel like they need to avoid activities or situations that cause them to feel pressure. Using descriptive praise is important in building a child's self-worth. Descriptive praise sounds differently than most other praise we give. Descriptive praise is specific. It sounds like this. Isabel, I noticed that you put all your laundry away and in the right drawers. Thank you. Instead of, good job, Isabel, with the laundry. Helping children to identify their strengths, and even more importantly, making them feel like it was noteworthy, will help them make positive decisions about wanting to repeat that same behavior. Building on children's strengths overall is a good method to helping children develop self-worth, which in turn will decrease avoidance of failure types of behaviors. One of the more challenging goals of misbehavior is revenge. Children in this mode may have tried other types of behaviors like attention and power to get their needs met, and they didn't find success in them. Therefore, they move into this mode. There also may be some significant issues involving relationships. Sometimes a parent may even be using a more aggressive parenting style, and the child may feel like their needs can't be met. The most important way to address these types of issues is by building on the parent-child relationship. These children need to know you care, you love them, and you believe in them. So many times we focus on the negative and forget that these children do have positives. Giving children that positive feedback, including using descriptive praise, will let the child know that you haven't given up on them. Always hold these children accountable with logical consequences, and be careful not to escalate the situation by getting involved in power struggles. Although these behaviors are very difficult, I've seen countless examples of real improvement in behavior and in the parent-child relationship. Don't ever give up trying with these children or the relationship. Let's look at some things to remember before you determine how to respond. If the behavior is disruptive, then certainly it needs to be addressed. Some behaviors, however, just may need a gentle reminder of the expectation or needs to be ignored entirely. Being able to identify the goal behind each behavior will help guide your response. We always want to respond to each behavior with the appropriate level of intervention. A child who spills their milk while eating lunch should not be removed from the table. They just need to clean it up, which is a logical consequence. Be sure you start with the least restrictive response, like the example I just gave, and then move to a more significant response, like removing the child from the table if they get aggressive or escalate. Each situation will call for you to make good decisions on this. We don't want to overreact. When you do need to remove the child, it is sending a strong message that the behavior is not only unacceptable, but it won't be tolerated. That is a very important message and one you want to send consistently. The reasons behaviors keep repeating is that we don't respond to them in a way that's effective. Remember these important steps to determine an appropriate response to all types of behaviors.
I hope you enjoyed this session on behaviors. I have a few takeaway tips for you. First, always remember that discovering the goal behind the misbehavior will help you to respond more appropriately. And when you do that, you can decrease or eliminate the behaviors entirely. Next, put boundaries and logical consequences in place This is going to help your child at any stage of development learn how to problem solve. Behavior is a choice, and teach your children that positive behaviors is going to result in great things happening. But negative misbehavior should result in negative things, like a consequence. And lastly, please keep in mind that a child's ability to tolerate negativity is going to be far greater than yours. So hang in there. I promise you, if you practice these methods of responding to these misbehaviors in this manner, it will get better. Good luck.